I'm Vice President and Chief Internet Evangelist at Google. But for purposes of this conversation, I'm a huge fan of our African colleagues who are trying to make the internet more available and more useful and more reliable, safer and more secure in Africa. And those of you who are part of the AFNOG organization are very much a part of that effort. As you know, at the moment, one of the more important institutions in Africa, AFRINIC, is undergoing some significant stresses and strains. Nothing is more important than getting that organization back onto an even keel. The most recent actions, which will allow it to reform its board and to name a CEO, are very important in my view to reinforce the stability of the RIR system. But let me speak to you as AFNOG participants. We are still working hard, all of you and the rest of us, to get more internet available in the African continent, to connect the African continent to the rest of the world with subsea cables. My company, Google, has participated in some of that by connecting various and sundry subsea cables to parts of Africa. But perhaps the most important part is getting into the interior. Some of the possibilities are that the low Earth orbiting satellite systems, such as Starlink, may offer some access in places where it would otherwise be quite difficult to bring optical fiber into operation, or even to bring Wi-Fi, and 5G and 6G into place because of the amount of infrastructure that has to be incorporated. All of those are possibilities, and they should all be pursued where it's economically feasible, where investment is rewarded, where there is a market that can sustain the resulting investment that's required and the maintenance that's required after that. The current internet environment is not perfect by any means, but I hope all of you would agree that in spite of whatever frailties there are, it has brought significant prosperity to many people around the world who have invented new applications and new services on the internet, and which have become more and more available in many cases through mobiles and smartphones. So I encourage all of you, to the extent that you have any voices to raise with regard to policy questions, to encourage policies that increase the incentives to make investments in the infrastructure. But there's more to internet than just getting access to it. You have to know how to use it. You want to have information that's of local interest and which is in local languages so people can make use of it. Those require investments as well, as does the training for the use of internet. Again, more intellectual investments, more people capable of making use of the technology. All of those things have to be put in place in order to make this system appealing and useful to everyone. And while we're speaking about everyone, let me remind you that people with disabilities often need some help to get access to and make use of internet applications, and we should not forget them. It's sometimes observed that there are 1 billion people in the world with disabilities. I'm one of them. I wear hearing aids. But anytime you help someone with a disability to get access to the internet and make use of it, you're actually helping everyone else that might be interacting with that person. So the billion is really more like 3 or 4 or 5 or 6 billion people benefiting from investment in accessibility. So finally, I wish you well in this AFNOG in 2023. I hope that you'll uncover new ways in which you can work together in order to make the internet a better place for everyone. And I certainly hope, in spite of the fact that I can't be there in person, that we'll cross paths on the net.
Well, Vint wears many hats. Currently, he's also, I think, the chair of the UN Secretary General's high-level panel on digital cooperation. And he was also